What's up, everybody? It's your favorite show, Get a Bucket. I'm your host, Trey, as usual. Hope you're all having a wonderful, wonderful day. Today, we're going to talk about the WNBA's 2025 draft. But before we do that, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Comment, tell anyone who's anyone about the show. Try and get the ratings up a little bit, just a little bit. But like I said, we're going to talk about the WNBA's draft. It was a good one. I have a couple gripes. I did like it overall. But let's go ahead and get onto the draft, right? Because we can say that the number one draft pick was a gripe for me, bro. It was such a gripe. Let's talk about it. So, as you guys can see on the screen, we have Paige Bueckers going number one to the Dallas Wings. Shout out to Paige Bueckers and the Dallas Wings, bro, because they did a wonderful job. That's a wonderful pairing. I have a gripe, though, because as a Sparks fan, this should have been us, but we play in, or at least the WNBA was. I'm so perturbed right now, bro. But why am I perturbed? You might be wondering. Well, again, Paige Bueckers, champion right now, but also she's had a well-decorated career, and if it wasn't for injuries, we would have been talking about Paige over Caitlin Clark. I wholeheartedly believe that. But we'll see what happens in the WNBA, right? She's a 6-foot guard coming out of UConn. And for me, she's the complete package, okay? She's a star quality. She gives you efficiency. She's elite scoring, playmaking, good defender with effort. Like I said, the worst thing about her was her injuries, okay? But for me, I wanted her on my squad. Biggest storylines, well, again, like I said, she was a champion, recent champion. So how does that play into the WNBA? We might have high expectations of Paige Bueckers, especially with how she played this season in college basketball. Also, because of some notable rookies, right? You got to consider, well, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, they hooped. They got a bucket, right? All right, well, Paige has to do that same thing, especially when I'm saying, I think she's going to be better than Caitlin Clark. Yeah, she's been better for her career. She got to do so in the WNBA as well. So I'm expecting to see those storylines. And then my final one, Arike Agumawale and the pairing with Paige Bueckers. Will this be a dynamic duo, or will this start to mean Arike is going to get traded? Paige is the younger player. She's also a little taller as well, so she can play the one or the two. Maybe if you're the Dallas Wings, you're thinking you can get a huge haul back for Arike Agumawale, and now you can start building for the future with Paige Bueckers. So I'm looking for those storylines, ladies and gentlemen, coming this season. But overall, I think it should be a good one. And keep in mind, I really appreciate how we had Paige Bueckers coming into the league. And I've always said, hey, bro, she reminds me of like Diana Taurasi, right? Maybe a smidge of Sue Bird for the efficiency piece and playmaking, but it's not like DT couldn't playmate. But the aggressiveness, the scoring, the confidence, I love that from Paige. And that's why I saw out of Paige Bueckers. That's why I thought she was going to be the next DT. So it's perfect. It's poetic. Not perfect, because I also wanted DT to still play one more season. Paige even go to the Mercury. But it would have been poetic. It's poetic seeing Paige Bueckers coming into the league right as DT retires. So again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm hurting for the Dallas Wings. Kudos to you all. Y'all got a good one. Now, we got to talk about the next pick, ladies and gentlemen, because it was an interesting one again, ladies and gentlemen. I can't hold y'all. All right, this one hurt me too. Y'all ready for this one? Dominique Malanga, number 2 pick. If y'all paying attention right here, this from LAS, this means it was a trade from Los Angeles Sparks. We could have grabbed her too. We could have got her as well. And keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, I do see star quality out of Dominique Malanga. This is a future pick for the Storm, but it could help out right now. It very well could. We're talking about someone who's 6'6". They're calling her the Victor Wembanyama of the WNBA. I think we might have a souped-up version of Lisa Leslie, at least from a physical standpoint. Game-wise, we got to see. But that's what I might be throwing expectations on. Star quality. I'm talking about elite athleticism and height combination. Shooting form was solid. And the defensive effort plus the motor is there. She had a quick drop step, ladies and gentlemen, that sold me off break. Like, that thing was smooth. So again, ladies and gentlemen, the only knock I had on her was her current opponent, were her former opponents' fair assessments. So now the storylines that I'm going to be paying attention to Dominique are this. The development pace, right? The playing time for year one. Because you still got Ezi Magbagor, Nneka Ogwumike. Like, you don't need to start her right now. So how much PT does she get, right? Then you also got the defensive anchor and offensive production year one. Can we get that from her? If we can, oh, buddy, sky's the limit. For the Storm, too, maybe Jewel Lloyd shouldn't have left. But then again, if she didn't, they wouldn't have got her. But after that, though, how about something like the dunk contest? Because I just said she had a drop step that was crazy and quick, effortless. We can start talking about the drop step. How about the conversation of lowering the rim? I hate it personally, but I think it's going to start coming up more. I know for a fact it came up with me personally in a conversation with some friends recently. So again, I could see Dominique Malanga being a very star-studded quality player. Could go left. I'll give you that. I don't think it does, though. Her physical tool set, she seems like she could dominate. So again, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not peeped, you got to watch Dominique Malanga. She might surprise y'all. I can't hold y'all. She might surprise you guys. But now we got to go ahead and move on to the next pick because, and here's the thing too, these next couple picks are going to be a little tricky because I'm going to try to talk about all of them at the same time. But it was by the Washington Mystics, right? It was by the Washington Mystics. So let's bring up pick number 3, shall we? Sonia Citron. And keep in mind, I did guess 1, 2, and 3 in order for the WNBA pick. So I'm really happy that they have been going according to plan. Like they went the way I expected, right? Because not everyone had Dominique there. But Sonia here at number 3, I wholeheartedly understand it. And here's the reason why, too, ladies and gentlemen, okay? At 6'1", I do get a combination of like a Maddie Siegrist and a Kayla McBride. To me, I get like starter or fringe all-star quality player. She's a good shooter. Like I said, a good overall player. On Notre Dame's team, the supporting cast could have limited her or could have boosted her up. So that's one thing I do want to pay attention to. But overall, I think it's more so it limited her in terms of the stats that she would have produced because she could have given a lot more. She's a very versatile player, and that is what the Mystics ended up drafting. Keep in mind, they have players on their team right now that can help out. Sonia needs to be learning from those players too. So definitely paying attention to Sonia. But the Mystics, hey, they got a good player. They really, truly did. Then let's scroll on down here to the next one in Kiki Iriafen, who 6'3", USC. Ooh-wee. Like, old girl could get a bucket, all right? And there's some comparisons out there. For me, she kind of gave me, I heard an Asia Wilson comparison before. That one was interesting. I saw a Marcus Aldridge meets a Tina Charles, maybe. Possibly favoring more on the LA side. But at the same time, I see a little bit of Tina as well, too. Which that's not a slight. That's not a slight. Because Tina Charles is a wonderful player. If y'all know, you know, right? But Kiki does give me star quality vibes. Not as much as like Dominique or Paige Bueckers. Think we do have a little star in her though. And that could get brought out. Because remember, she's been playing. She was on Stanford's team, right, with Cameron Brink. And then after that, she did her thing. Then she went to USC. Juju goes out. And she did do her thing. Not at the dominant rate that I would have wanted. She did her thing, though. She had more eyes and expectations on her. Plus, you lose Juju. That's a lot to lose. So I liked a lot of curiosity. I liked Kiki Iriafen and what I saw from her journey. For me, she did battle someone like an Aaliyah Edwards, and she got like 22. So stuff like that, 22 points. So stuff like that helps me out for Kiki Iriafen. So again, another pick by the Washington Mystics. And I think we're going to do pretty well with this one. Now, I got to scroll down real quick, ladies and gentlemen, only because we got to talk about still the Washington Mystics. And they had another solid pick in Georgia Amore. Now, I want to say this, though. I do want to say this. I was torn at this pick right here. I listed off Georgia Amore initially. Then I started hearing some other players as well, too. But overall, because what did it for me was her height. She 5'6". Quick as hell. And that quickness plus her shooting ability is going to help her out in the league. Like I've mentioned in Arike Ogunbowale, which, again, she's 5'8", a little stockier, right? But Georgia is extremely quick. And the height disparity hasn't really hurt her. Crystal Dangerfield, I think, is about 5'6". And Crystal was a bucket. Rookie of the year, by the way. A little bit of a journeywoman, but that's not because of her game. That's just because of how the WNBA was situated. So Georgia Amore, I could see a similar sort of player. When I'm thinking a comparison, right? I have to think of an Arike. I have to think of that style of player, like a Crystal Dangerfield, because of that height. But don't let that height fool you, because she has a mean little step back, and you have to play that honestly. You have to play her drive or her step back honestly, and she's a solid point guard, solid, respectable playmaker. So again, the Washington Mystics, they had 3 good picks, ladies and gentlemen. And I think across the board, we got to worry about these storylines, right? Such as the futuristic fit of the new young big three, because you got to factor in Aaliyah Edwards now too, right? So which one gets edged out of that big three, I guess, futuristic aspect for the Mystics? Also, do any of these players play well enough to now trade some of the Washington Mystic players that they have? Like the vets might be able to. So some of them do need to go, by the way. I'm talking about that on another video. It's not because of their game. It's because I want to see some of them on a contender now. And the Mystics are still building up. Could be a playoff team. On the right track, though. So, again, I do like the Mystics and what they did. But, ladies and gentlemen, we got to see what they do overall. Those 3 picks, I expect them to stay. Plus, you got a Shakira Austin and you got an Aaliyah Edwards. It's going to be interesting to see how these picks end up playing out, I will admit. But they can be a really big team. And height, you can't teach, and you do need in the game of basketball. But, again, I did say those were all of the Washington Mystics picks that I'm going to talk about, because we're talking about the top 5 picks, right? So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, who's the 5th pick to talk about? Well, you guessed it. We should go ahead and start talking about them. It's the Valkyries, right? Now, here's the crazy thing. They ended up drafting oh my gosh. I'm so sorry. I just butchered that. I just messed it up. Justé Jocyte. I apologize if I messed it up again. I'm terrible. I gotta get that right when the Valkyries talk about them again. But this one surprised the hell out of me, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Here's the reason why. I definitely thought they were going to go with I need some Moro. Yeah, I did. That one would have been more interesting for me just because I think Anissa does have star quality. But you look at Justé, I'm sorry. She was okay. I got to study more about her game. 6 foot out of Lithuania. She can attack and penetrate the defense pretty well, get you open shots. They're trying to compare her to a Luka Doncic. That one's going to be interesting. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I don't want to say, she's going to be, this was a missed pick. I don't. Because I don't want to be that person. Because keep in mind, there were a lot of people who said that about Kristaps Porzingis and Luka Doncic, and look what happened with them, right? I can't say I was not sold on the pick until I started researching, and I realized, you know what? She did become the youngest draft pick in WNBA history. Lauren Jackson was the youngest pick, and I think she was about 3 weeks or so from becoming 20 at the time. And now we got Justé at 7 months until she turns 20. So we got a little bit of time for her to develop. So this pick could work out, ladies and gentlemen. I do have some trepidations because, again, overlooking players like an Anissa Moro, like that's going to remember that. Like, I'm remember that one. Maybe if Haley Van Lith starts popping off, I'm remember that one. How about Sanaya Rivers? I like Sanaya. That would have been cool. But again, overall, the Valkyries are trying to showcase that they're going in a different direction and they need somebody to sell the audience. And maybe they think this is the girl. So we're going to find out. But, I mean, overall, ladies and gentlemen, this was a wonderful, wonderful WNBA draft. I only talked about the top 5 because, again, everybody else and more so the WNBA or the top 5, I'm going to talk about on my team breakdowns. So definitely be on the lookout for those. But overall, I'm curious about your thoughts of the WNBA's draft. What did you think? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Did you have gripes like myself? Like I know I'm still kind of pissed. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I'm still a little annoyed. But we're gonna see what happens with the WNBA. So definitely, please make sure to like, subscribe, comment, tell anyone about the show. My name is Trey. I'm the host of Get a Bucket. Hope you all are having a good one. Take care.